The following program is underwritten by the generous support of Associates of Glens Falls and Loomis & Lipan Insurance. Since 1852, they have been assisting both businesses and individuals across the country secure the most comprehensive insurance products available. Associates of Glens Falls and Loomis & Lipan are one of New York's largest independently owned insurance agencies. Public affairs programming on Look TV is underwritten by the generous support of Pinnell's Restaurant, classic Italian-American food since 1922, and Stored Tech, technology solutions for computers, networks, and phone. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
1922, Babe Ruth debuts with the Yankees. WGY signs on air. Exterminator wins the Saratoga Cup, and Pinnell's Restaurant opens its doors for the very first time. For 5 generations, Pinnell's has been preparing delicious Italian food, served in a comfortable, home-like setting where everyone is welcome. 90 years of authentic Italian recipes, 90 years of the freshest ingredients, and 90 years of the finest classic Italian dishes, all made daily by hand. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga dining tradition since 1922.
Most cybersecurity firms deal only with prevention, the systems that block hackers and viruses. Stored Tech knows the root cause is actually good people doing bad things. So we offer a security training program which includes certifying all participants to show they understand the basics.
Technology solutions for computers, networks, and phones. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
All right, welcome everybody, and we're running 7:06 p.m. And it's June 15th, 2020. It's the Town of Queensbury Town Board meeting, a regular meeting. And before we begin the regular agenda items, would you all please rise and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for attending. Tonight's meeting, we have a regular agenda. And when we get through the regular agenda, we have 5 candidates from Ward 4, I should say, and would like to represent Ward 4, who are going to speak and introduce themselves to you tonight. And then on Thursday night, we're going to have some Q&A. It'll be through Zoom. You can go to the town's website and just click on the Zoom indicator when your little pointer lights up. That means you can just click on that. If you haven't done Zoom before, it will download itself, and that may take a couple of minutes, so start a little early before the meeting starts. The meeting starting at 6 p.m. on Thursday. And that'll be some Q&A. There's one question from each town board member, starting with Ward 1, Ward 2, Ward 3, and me. The meeting will be moderated by Nick Germano, a neutral party. And then when each candidate, and they're going to circulate. So if you start off with one candidate, they rotate around as the questions go. So each one has an opportunity to be first. Each one has an opportunity to be last. And so we'll take several questions from the audience after they get done answering the town board questions. And then we'll call it evening. I'm expecting it to last 60 to 90 minutes. But a lot of it depends on the questions and so forth. So that's Thursday night. But tonight, stay with us because each of the candidates for Ward 4, and there are 5 of them, want to introduce themselves to you. And so they're here tonight to do that. At least some of them are, and the others will be coming later because I told them it wouldn't be till after the regular agenda. So, moving on to the regular agenda, we need to go into the Board of Health to set a public hearing. So, and there's only one item in the Board of Health, and that's setting this public hearing. So if there is a motion to move into the Board of Health, please. So moved by Councilperson Brown, seconded by Councilperson Freer. All those in favor of moving into the Queensbury Local Board of Health, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. We're now in the Local Board of Health. The first and only item, please, Rose.
It's a resolution setting a public hearing on sewage disposal variance application of Robert Stutz.
All right, Robert Stutz, and this public hearing, if approved by the town board tonight, this public hearing will be July 6th. Robert Stutz lives on 16 Mayflower Lane, which is up in the Pilot Knob area. Tom Hutchins is the attorney, engineer, and agent. They are proposing putting in an Elgin absorption system and a 1,250 gallon polyethylene septic tank. So a new septic system for 16 Mayflower Lane. And they're asking for 3 variances: a septic tank 5 foot from the building in lieu of the required 10 foot, absorption field 15 foot from the building instead of the required 20, and absorption field 95 feet from Lake George in lieu of the 100 foot setback. So again, if this gets approved tonight, the public hearing will be on July 6th. Any questions on behalf of the board? No. All right, I'll entertain a motion to set the public hearing on this sewage disposal variance application of Robert Stutz for July 6th. Moved by Councilperson Freer.
Second.
Medevere. Seconded by, seconded by Councilperson Perron. Roll call vote on this setting of the public hearing, please.
Councilperson Freer.
Yes.
Barone.
Yes.
Stroud.
Yes.
And Medevere.
Yes.
All right. Public hearing is set for July 6th. Robert Stutz, 16 Mayflower Lane. That's it for the Board of Health. Motion to move out of the Board of Health.
So moved. Second.
Moved by, I'm having trouble distinguishing between the two of you. All right, that time. Moved by Councilperson Brown, seconded by Councilperson Freer. All those in favor of moving out of the Queensbury Local Board of Health, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. We're now out of the Board of Health. Next, we have 17 resolutions before the board. And so I'll go through and describe the 17 resolutions before the board tonight. If a member of the public has any thoughts on the matter, you're welcome to share those thoughts with us after I describe the 17 resolutions before us tonight. You can either share them, first of all, to the public here, second of all, for a call-in, and the number is 761-8225. I forgot my little number. I do have it here. In any event, I'll be saying the number enough times, 761-8225. But that's when I get done describing the resolutions. I have had that, and I must have left it out. Okay, you don't have it on the scrolling on the bottom or anything, do you, Peter? The telephone number? Pardon? The telephone number, 761-8225? Oh, okay. All right, well, when we get to it, I'll repeat it. So here are the 17 resolutions before us. Rose will begin by describing them, and then I'll go on to give a further description, if needed. Now, if you have a town question, it's town issue, and you would like to speak to the town about it, and it's not related to any of the resolutions, I'll give you that opportunity later. All right, but this pertains to only the resolutions. Okay, Rose, 3.1.
Resolution authorizing advertisement of bids for purchase of new auto recovery processor for the crematory located at Pineview Cemetery.
All right, this is to go out to bid. So it's permission to advertise for bid for a recovery processor for the Pineview Cemetery. 3.2.
Resolution authorizing permit to Michael and Yvonne Wild for temporary parking of camping trailer on site during construction of new residence.
All right, Michael and Yvonne are building a home not far from you, and the home's not going to be ready, and they have to get out of their apartment. So they'd like to put up a temporary trailer there during construction of this new residence, and this is only good for 1 year. The town board approves it. And this is located at 19 Blackberry Lane. 3.3.
Resolution authorizing road striping work of Seneca Pavement Marking, Inc.
All right. So the county does bidding process for us, and this is for a road striping. Seneca Pavement Marking is one of those that won the bid that was done on the county level. We're looking to do Luzerne Road, Gurney Lane, Irrigation, Mount View, Potter, Dixon, just about all the main roads in Queensbury, okay? And so this is for an amount up to $30,000. 3.4,
Resolution authorizing release of letter of credit in connection with dedication of Caitlin Drive and Point West subdivision.
all right, Caitlin Drive is the road in Point West subdivision. It has it's been paved. It's got the top coat and it's got the approved necessary approval from the highway department, and this will give them their $25,000 letter of credit back to Collect Construction. 3.5,
Resolution authorizing promotion of Sean Stevenson from laborer to motor equipment operator in town highway department.
all right, good job, Sean. Sean's one of our better workers, moving him up to MEO. 3.6,
Resolution authorizing Halfway Brook Lower Watershed Recreation Management Plan.
all right, I want to thank the city of Glens Falls for working with the town of Queensbury. We work together on many things. This is just one example. We work well together, I want to add. And this is for 6 years ago, Mayor Diamond and I talked about putting a trail across the lower watershed. And the trail would go from basically Aviation Road over to Peggy Ann Road. And he said he supports that, but we're going to have to do a few things, agree to a license agreement and the lower watershed recreation management plan. All right, we did the license agreement, and part of the license agreement was that we would have to develop this lower watershed recreation management plan. And there was a committee formed, 3 from Glens Falls and 3 from Queensbury, that worked on this plan, and it went through review. It passed the Glens Falls Common Council unanimously on Tuesday night, and so it comes before the town board for their approval tonight. And it's a very thorough but fair. It shows examples of signings. It shows how the roads or the trail's going to be constructed. And again, I want to thank Richard Skimmelhorn for the item 4. He donated to this trail, as he did donate to the Rush Pond Trail, a significant cost that we don't have to bear because of his donation. That was very nice of Richard Skimmelhorn. But this is an approval before the board tonight for the Halfway Brook Lower Watershed Recreation Management Plan. 3.7.
Resolution setting public hearing on proposed local law to amend Chapter 179 zoning of Queensbury Town Code to amend permitted uses in the commercial light industrial zoning district.
All right, this got a favorable recommendation from the planning board, and this is to set a public hearing on this proposed change, and we'll be doing a seeker on that evening on July 6th. And basically, it's to allow interior storage facility in a commercial light industrial zone, as long as they make it go through the special use permit process. The people that requested this in the first place was an outfit tied to U-Haul Rental, but I don't think they go by that name. They go by AREC 34, and they bought the old retail building, Kmart building, and they would like to make interior storage, and we didn't have that as an allowed use in commercial light industrial. So the town board is going to consider that use in a commercial light industrial zone as long as it goes through the special use permit process on July 6th, if it's approved to do so by the town board tonight. 3.8.
Resolution authorizing award of bid for Garrison Road Sewer Slip Lining Project to Kenyon Pipeline Inspections, LLC.
All right, we have a stormwater system on Garrison Road that is failing. And you can see the indentation in the road. And we had the pipe system inspected. And if we line the pipe, it'll save us a whole lot of money. And we'll correct the situation. And then we'll repave Garrison Road. So this is go ahead and reline that sewer pipe along Garrison Road. Kenyon Pipeline won the bid. They were the lowest responsible bidder. In fact, they were the lowest bidder. at $115,155. We've added 10% contingency, so this resolution is to approve $126,671, or up to $126,000, because we don't always use the contingency. But this gives you a contingency set aside. And we do have the other bidders. The bids went as high as $161,700, another one at $149,000, and this one's the lowest bid on $115,000. 3.9.
Resolution ratifying adoption of revised town of Queensbury COVID-19 post-pandemic plan.
All right, the town board, along with department managers, in an effort to responsibly deal with the COVID-19 pandemic situation, we worked together to devise a plan that's in accordance with compliance standards, and it's safe for the employees, it's safe for the public, as safe as can be. So now we're kind of phasing into a more active world. And so we have a post-pandemic plan that they've been working on, and this is a copy of that, and I'm seeking town board approval to back up the plan we put together tonight. 3.10.
Resolution authorizing hiring of seasonal employees to work for Department of Parks and Recreation.
All right, since they have familiar relationships, this must be disclosed, and the town board must approve the appointment of the following. Kaylin Harrington is daughter of Water Superintendent, Water Director Chris Harrington. Lindsay Holcomb is the daughter of John Holcomb, an HEO in the Town Highway Department. Nick Izzo is the stepson of Park and Recreation Director Steve Lovering. Evan Lovering is the son of Park and Rec Director Steve Lovering. Gretchen Lovering is the wife of Parks and Recreation Director Stephen Lovering. The relatives have worked with us before. We've approved them in the past, at least for the 3 years. Gretchen is 6 years. She does not work, nor do they work directly under the supervision of Steve Lovering, who is the Director of Park and Recreation. 3.11.
Resolution authorizing water maintenance supervisor to use town vehicle for travel between town hall and personal residence to respond to emergency situations.
All right, Chris Harrington came forward and he says this, Paul Finch, and I know Paul Finch. He's a great worker. He's one of our best workers. And he is a water maintenance supervisor. And Chris Harrington believed that he should be able to take a vehicle home because he needs to respond to emergency situations, but in order to do so, only to home and to work. There are very strict regulations on these vehicles. They can't take them to go to stores. They can't take them to visit relatives. They can only take them home and to and from work. And the reason why is if there's an emergency, we want an immediate response. They have the tools in the truck that they will need to respond to most of your emergencies. And Paul Finch, like I said, is a water maintenance supervisor, and the Chris Harrington, he's the superintendent of water and the director of wastewater. And I said, well, let's put a resolution, see if the town board approve it. 3.13. 3.12.
Resolution authorizing engagement of Capital Markets Advisors, LLC, to provide financial advisory services.
All right, I just had them in reverse order. These are professional services. This is for our bond on Cary Road, and this is the outfit we usually do for professional services, and it's $12,500, and it is for Capital Market Advisors, for CMA, formerly known as Environmental Capital, to provide financial advisory services in conjunction with any bond issue, as well as continuing disclosure submissions and general financial advisory services as requested and directed by the town, and their contract is attached. 3.13.
Resolution authorizing award of bid for traffic signals at intersections of Bay and Quaker Roads and Glenwood Avenue and Quaker Road.
All right, this has been a long time coming. This is for, the bid came in, lowest bid was DLC Electric. Lowest bid was $398, and putting aside a 5% contingency makes this up to $417,900. Now that's what we're putting in the capital reserve at number 64 for this capital project. And is for the two lights on Bay and Quaker and Glenwood and Quaker. The two light systems there are very old. We can't even get parts for them anymore. They have failed, and as you can imagine, any intersection on Quaker Road that fails is close to a disaster. So almost 2 years ago, Highway Superintendent Dave Duell came to me and said we need to replace those fixtures. Well, we needed to do a study. We needed to see what needed to take place, and we went forward. This is not the first time I've talked to it because this has gone through a very lengthy process. So now it's for final approval of the bid with the financial terms I just stated. And this is to replace those systems with modern systems. In case the question comes up, will this work with the proposed smart corridor system that we're getting grant money for? Yes, it is copacetic with that, and we'll work with that if we get to go there. 314.
Resolution authorizing agreement between the town of Queensbury and Constellation Energy Services of New York, Inc. for power sale.
All right, this is for about 5 cents a kilowatt hour. It's fixed for 3 years. It's a pretty good deal. 315.
Resolution authorizing engagement of Gray Castle Security for cybersecurity services.
All right, this is hiring a system to test our system. So Store Tech has helped us along with this, and this is for cybersecurity related services. This company, it will purposely attack our external network with remote resources, execute phishing attacks, provide internal attacks via virtual machine or appliance, and that these attacks meet the following industry standards and blah, blah, blah. So Gray Castle Security proposal is the most comprehensive and cost-effective solution of the two proposals. Is for $19,000 to test our system. 316.
Resolution authorizing Marshall and Sterling Upstate to renew town of Queensbury insurance coverages effective July 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2021.
All right, this is to renew our insurance. And this is the review by Ken Gray and so forth. It's pretty much in line with what it has been, a total premium of $184,930.41. And 317.
Resolution approving audit of bills warrant of 6/16/2020.
All right, and this is for a warrant run with June 11th and payment date of June 16th, totaling $1,231,093.85. Those are the 17 resolutions before the town board tonight. All right, is there any member of the public that wishes to speak to any of the 17 resolutions before the town board this evening or present in the audience? Yes, sir. Please introduce yourself for the record.
Michael Wild, Blackberry Lane, Queensbury. Good evening, everyone. Resolution 3.2, I think, is mine. And I'm just here to answer any questions. I would like to put a trailer on. COVID happens. It happened to everyone. Delayed us quite a bit. Now, the property that I was renting by the lake is no longer reasonably priced for someone who lives in Queensbury. So I'm just asking for approval. I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions? Well, good luck with your house.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions?
Not directly. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else present here today? Seeing none, call in 761-8229. 761-8225. Thank you, Tony. Let me look under participants. Only Mark has his hand up. But I'm sure it's not a question. If he was having a problem hearing us, he would have called me by now. There are no open questions through Zoom. The phone is area code 518-761-8225. If you have a question on any of the 17 resolutions before the town board this evening. All right. I don't have many announcements. Thursday's meeting will be of this format. It'll be a Zoom meeting. And the website is on the town website, where it says Thursday meeting, meet the candidate, meet the Ward 4 candidate. And click on that. And if you don't have Zoom, it'll download itself. It may take a minute or two. Just be patient. Then it'll come on and it'll ask you questions if you want video and do you want so forth. I control the video and who talks. This is set up as a webinar as opposed to a typical Zoom meeting. And it will be moderated by Nick Camano, so actually he'll be controlling the events. The first questions will be in order: Ward 1, 2, 3, and Town Supervisor. All the Ward 4 interested parties will respond to each question. And you will go in order and it'll circulate. So everyone has an opportunity to be first. Everybody has an opportunity to be last. It will circulate on every question. So there's only 4 questions for the town board. And then it will open to the public. And so I have a Q&A on the Zoom, or I have participants, and you can wave a blue hand. Either event, I'll call you. And you will have a question. Now, the questions can't be targeted to any particular candidate. The question has to be generic and general. So you can ask that question, and each of the 5 Ward 4 candidates will respond to your question. I think the meeting should go for about an hour, possibly 90 minutes. But this is an attempt to go public and let the public understand who are the candidates looking to represent Ward 4 in terms of appointing. Now, the appointment only is good until December 31st. Whoever wins the election in November, and I understand that all the candidates are interested in running in November, your term will be good for 1 year. That means the following year you have to run again. And if you win that second election, you then will get a 2-year term. I know it means a lot, and it is a lot. But I also want to tell, and they can verify that working on the town board is a lot of work. It really is. It's not easy. All right, so I gave people area code 561-518-761-8225. I've got nothing on Zoom, and I have no call-ins on the 17 resolutions before us tonight. So that's the format for Thursday night. It starts at 6 p.m., by the way. Okay. Are there any resolutions that town board wants to share some thoughts on, or have pulled for a separate vote, a roll call vote, or anything else?
Yeah, okay, sorry. I had a question. I thought maybe Dave Gould would be here tonight, but he's not here. You're probably not going to have the answer to this, but 3-3, the road striping.
Yeah.
What was it, a couple of years ago, whatever, we had that problem with that company where they striped the road and it rained and the paint went running down the hill. It's not the same company.
You're right. I don't remember. I remember that evening because I was out at 10 o'clock at night.
Mm-hmm. Just, I guess that they're doing very well. Just remind them.
Yeah.
And go down. Oh. I could solve it. Very good.
You got a good memory. All right, Harrison, you have
Yeah, so just full disclosure, I live on Garrison Road, but I think I can still vote for the school.
Yes, you can.
And then I'm glad to see that we're providing some common sense to the vehicle. I just will say that, you know, it's a slippery slope because we don't want abuse, right? Nobody wants abuse of vehicles or used town vehicles for public, but I'm happy to support this resolution. And I expect that if anybody suspects abuse, we'll see pictures and videos of where the car might be misparked, and we will be responsible for dealing with that. But I think it's the right thing to do. And then
vehicle tracking system.
Oh, okay. So we'll have a GPS.
I've observed other employees that are using the town vehicle. For example, because of COVID-19, getting that vehicle sick more often than it doesn't. So I don't think these guys are using.
No, I don't either. But I've seen silliness where we did stupid things, and I'm happy to support it.
But you know, when you have the Queensbury's name on the side of the vehicle, you know, it screams. Right. So I don't personally agree with that.
No, I agree. Then finally, 313, you didn't mention that it will include that improvement will include much better pedestrian safety crossing at Quaker and Bay, which we've needed for a long time, and hopefully people will be able to maneuver there with their bikes if they decide not to use the bridge. But pedestrian-wise, there's no pedestrian light crossing on Quaker east from Route 9, so that'll be a big improvement.
Yep, thank you for bringing that up, Harris.
Yep.
Anything else, guys? All right. So, 17 resolutions before us. Is there anybody that wants to move approval of those 17 resolutions before us tonight? Moved by Councilperson Medevere, second by Councilperson Crowe. Roll call vote on this, please, Ralph.
Councilperson Stroud,
Yes.
Medevere.
Yeah.
Greer,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Okay, well, that's it. Any correspondence?
Yes, I have the supervisor's report for building and codes for the month of May. It will be on file in the town clerk's office. That's it.
Privilege of the floor. Anybody that would like to speak to the town board about any town topic, I'm going to go in this order. But be prepared. The first will be the people that are present at the meeting tonight. The second will be YouTube watchers. You'll call in at 518-761-8225. And then Zoom watchers, I'll ask them and we'll try and respond as we can. If we don't know the answer, we'll try and find out. All right. Anybody present have any town issue they would like to speak to the town board? All right, none here. Any call-ins that are YouTube watchers? Area code 518-761-8225. Any town issue? And then the Zoom people, if you raise your hand or indicate through a Q&A that you have a question, because you can do it either way, I will call on you. So get ready for that. Any announcements? Well, I think we're very fortunate to have 5 people interested in representing Ward 4. I think that's great. And we'll get to know them. Those folks, they'll introduce themselves tonight. And then on Thursday night, there'll be a little Q&A. It'll be through Zoom. Peter, Dave, we won't need it Thursday night. It's going to be a Zoom. Okay. And Danny left, but I think I know hook up the camera and everything. So, yeah, some of the board members want to meet here, but you don't have to. It's a Zoom meeting. So some of you candidates, and there are 3 here so far tonight. If you want to do it through Zoom, fine. If you want to come here and do it that way, that's fine. But through Zoom, they'll get to see you. Otherwise, I'll have to manipulate the camera when we talk. So it'd be better if you have a laptop. Even if you come here. George is on right now. All right. So 518-761-8225. No call-ins. Anybody on Zoom? Any town board issue? Okay. All right. Well, hearing none at this point in time, why don't we go to letting our Ward 4 candidates introduce themselves. So Tim Brewer, I don't see him here tonight. He's not here yet. I thought this meeting would go a little bit later, so Tim Brewer's not here. And I don't see Amanda here. Anybody else? Travis Whitehead is here. Tim McNulty is here. Brady Stark is here. So if I'm going to go in alphabetical order and two are not here yet, I'm just trying to be fair. But Tim, are you ready? Would you please introduce yourself to residents of Queensbury and why you want to run for and so forth? Who you are.
Thank you, Council Chairman Stroh. My name is Tim McNulty again. Thank you, Councilman Stroh and councilpersons for giving the opportunity to introduce myself tonight and tell you a little bit about my qualifications. A little on my background: served for 27 years in the military, retired as a colonel in 2007. I've served as a transport and logistician around the world and around the United States as well. After retirement, I worked on the Department of Defense staff at the Pentagon for 5 years. Then I took a jump and went to the private sector with the sole purpose of being able to work from home. And why did I do that? Because working from home, we can move up here. So I set an 18-month plan to pick up the family and move here. And 18 months to the day, we moved on Quincy Lane in Queensbury. And I've actually loved it since we've been here. After moving here, had the opportunity to work with veterans in Albany as a disabled veterans outreach program coordinator. It was a great experience to find veterans jobs, working with some great Americans, but it was a 16-mile commute each way, as a lot of people in Queensbury understand, and that was a bit much, so we moved on. I then worked as a general manager for a local hotel, where I got to meet a number of residents of the town, and also a lot of the visitors to the town, and who to appreciate what they saw in terms of the opportunities that the town offers for vacationers and tourists. During my last overseas assignment in the military, I was the installation commander for the Seoul Army Garrison. Basically a city manager for a population of 25,000. Had a budget of 125 million. Had some interesting budget struggles, as we will have in this town over the next couple of months, and put together some interesting plans to be able to deal with that. And I hope to be able to share those with you maybe perhaps on Thursday. It was a great experience, but it was also great preparation for the Fourth Ward councilperson position. I was obviously, as you are, a focal point in the community. You couldn't go out anywhere without somebody recognizing you and saying, hey, and they always had a, hey, can you help me with? I developed a great rapport with the community to be able to listen, and it was all about listening, and then be able to work and help resolve their issues. Sometimes the answer was no, but as long as it was said in a polite way, we normally got away with that. An interesting tidbit, I was going to do show and tell, but I figured that would be a bit much here. When I departed, the fire chief gave me a fire hat, nice fire chief hat. And how he explained it, he said that we are rated on how our time response to an emergency, to a fire, to whatever. And he said, more times than not, you were there before we were there. I don't know how you did it, but I've never seen a commander that had as much interest in being there when the community needed him. And when it comes to Fourth Ward, it hasn't had a representative for the last three or 4 months. I commit myself not to be able to make to every fire. But as you were at the tornado incident on Hudson Point, that's Fourth Ward. That's where the Fourth Ward council person should be, so the community members can see he or she, and be there to provide support. And I would pledge to Fourth Ward that I would do my best to be at every activity I can to be there to be able to provide support when they needed it. I said we We enjoy living here. We love the atmosphere, the work, the play. Working in the community, though, I do have some concerns for the future, and I'll bring up one story. For the 3 years I worked at the hotel, with one exception, every high school or college student that came to work for me so they could leave the area. We need to do something with our youth flight problems. We won't be able to survive as a growing community if our youth continue to leave in search of jobs or better opportunities. I feel as this crisis ends and we start to bring back more production capability from China, Queensbury is in a great situation with our medical manufacturers and our paper companies to be able to develop some additional lines of business to be able to take some of that business. Now, it's going to take work from the government level to bring in funds, to bring in grants from the state and federal level, and I would work with each and every one of those businesses and you all, the members of the town board, to be able to identify those examples of where perhaps we could bring in some business, and then work with the companies to do that. We've got to come up with good paying jobs with benefits so our youth won't leave. And I look forward to discussing that and some other opportunities at Thursday night when you ask your questions. Thank you so much for the opportunity to introduce myself tonight and provide a little bit about my background. And I look forward to Thursday as well.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Tim.
Brady? And then Travis, you'll be next. Brady Stark.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brady Stark. I'd first like to start by thanking the town board for giving me the opportunity to present my candidacy to the public. Just a little about myself. I was born and grew up here in Queensbury. I graduated from Queensbury High School in 2019, where I was the captain of our tennis team and involved in many organizations and extracurricular activities. I currently attend Union College, majoring in political science, and after college, I plan to remain local in our town. Something I'd like to address is my age. Many people think my age is a negative aspect of my candidacy. However, I view it as a strength. So people have asked me over the last few months, why am I doing this at such a young age? And the reason for that is, I'm a candidate because I care deeply about our town. I also have political and community experience, which is the best of both worlds and sets me apart from others. I have served on the Board of Trustees at the Warren County Historical Society since January of 2019. I was also recently added to the Queensbury Clean Energy Climate Smart Committee at the beginning of this year. I was also the field coordinator for Congresswoman Elise Stefanik. I started working for the Congresswoman back when I was 15 years old during the 2016 election. I became the field coordinator in June of 2018, and at that position, I handled the donations that came into the campaign. I interacted with constituents across the entire district, and I attended events across the congressional district as well. I know my background and qualifications make me a great candidate for the job. Aside from my government and community experience, I also have small business experience working at my family businesses in Lake George. I've helped my family from a very young age, and I have firsthand knowledge of the challenges our local business owners experience. As a member of our town board, I would like to continue our Climate Smart Communities program because it is very important to the living conditions in our area and our community's environment. The program is also crucial due to our close proximity to the Adirondacks and Lake George. I am also concerned with the loss of revenue due to the coronavirus epidemic. Our town could potentially lose over $900,000 as a result. However, I'm hopeful our town can have a strong summer and adjust our budget accordingly. I will also work with the existing town board and maintain a collaborative atmosphere because being bipartisan is very important at a local level. My fresh perspective will also be an asset to our community and fellow town board members. I realize I'm young, but I do not think my age is a detriment, and I have a great grasp on how our government works. I would appreciate the opportunity to represent Ward 4, and I thank the town board for their consideration.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Brady Stark. Travis Whitehead, please come forward and introduce yourself.
Thank you, John. Travis Whitehead. I've been a resident here for 20 years. I am an engineer. I graduated from RPI with a bachelor's and master's some 45 years ago. I met my wife at that time of 45 years. And my first job was in Cleveland, Ohio, actually, working for the National Aeronautics and Space Administration on the first and ever and only wind energy program, the National Wind Energy Program, because actually my master's degree was on solar energy and wind energy here. I've been a member of the CEC committee now since its inception. I think it's important to note that I do not think the same as the other members, or as many members do there. But I think if you polled them, you would hear that they value my contributions, even though I'm not always in sync with them. I have seen firsthand what we can do with alternate energy forms. I was instrumental in helping General Electric put up the first windmill, the largest windmill put up at that point in time in North Carolina. After that, my jobs were all in the industrial arena. I was a process control engineer, where basically my job was to troubleshoot processes, make them better, make them faster, and did that for most of my career. Most recently, I've been working for Hollingsworth and Bose across the river there from Schuylerville, and I'm still on retention actually as a consultant there. I get called in every once in a while if they have problems. So if you want to sum up what I do, it's solve problems, and I think that more than my education, my formal education, the education I received at Corning Glassworks, which was my second job, was instrumental in the way I handle problems, the way I view problems. It was required of every new engineer in that group to spend a week up at the Houghton Mansion going over a course taught by one of their own employees on Kepner-Trago program. And it's extremely enlightening. It teaches you all the faults in most people, including my faults, as far as how you go about analyzing problems, why you jump to the wrong conclusions, how it's so important to get all the facts laid out there and be completely dispassionate about assessing those facts before you come up with a decision. Now, I know it's very important for the council here, the board here, to make these decisions. We have a $30 million budget. This is no small task. Actually, the person that you nominate here for the next 6 months it'll be a very critical time for the town, because the budget will be created and passed in this period of time. And I've been the only person in the last 3 years to stand up here and to comment on that budget. The good news is an awful lot of money is being drained from the taxpayers. And even though we're going to have substantial challenges in the next year or so, I feel very comfortable that we have the reserves. John is encouraging me to speed up here, so I won't go into the details. But if you look at your own audits.
No, Travis wasn't speeding up. It was a little bit louder, please.
Oh, louder. Okay. Sorry, John. If you look at our own audits, they say for 2016, for instance, that we overestimated our revenues and underestimated overestimated our expenditures and underestimated our revenues by $1.6 million. We've been doing that for multiple years. That money has most recently been put into such things as the highway garage at $2.3 million, another $1.2 million for mechanical and other capital improvements here in the town office complex. These things are useful, but they also could be bonded. And we are at record low interest rates at this point in time. We should be looking at bonding. We have very low ratio of debt in this town. And all these are good things looking forward into this very difficult time that we're coming up into with this COVID crisis. So I guess that sums it up. I think that I would contribute greatly to this task in trying to get us through to a budget that everybody can live with. And I look forward to doing that. Look forward to working with all of you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Travis Whitehead. Amanda McGee. Next, please come forward and introduce yourself.
I do know the alphabet. I do know we were supposed to go in alphabetical order. I'm not familiar with the schedule, and the suggestion was to arrive around 8. So my apologies for my tardiness. My name's Amanda McGee. My voice always shakes in public. I'm a 10-year resident of Queensbury, before that Glens Falls. I am originally from the West Coast, Yakima, Washington, so I'm bilingual in Spanish, but it is a little shaky. Not a lot of occasion to use it here, but I can pull it out if we need it. I own Trampoline Design with 3 partners. We founded it in 2003, 2004. A third of our staff lives in Queensbury. 2 rent, the other 5 own homes. I am married. My husband came. He brought me the water. We have 3 daughters. They'll be going into 7th, 9th, and 11th grade next year at Queensbury. In about 2010, I founded the Glens Falls Collaborative. I went around downtown Glens Falls with my youngest daughter and a baby, Bjorn, and knocked on doors. That came because as a company, we saw that there was a need for businesses to be able to afford advertising. And as an advertising agency, we were able to eliminate the cost of the advertising by donating our time and helping the merchants downtown pool their resources. And then we went to the newspapers and negotiated the best rates that we could. And we created larger ads that did more than any of the small ads that the individual businesses were doing on their own. That organization continues to flourish. My background is in theater and production management, which means I've never had enough money to get things done, and I've always had a deadline, and I've managed to do it. I'm a carpenter and a welder, and probably have language not good for meetings, but I promise never to use it in a meeting. So I don't do anything without deliberation or passion. I wouldn't be here as a business owner, a wife, a parent, and a person concerned with a lot of issues in the world if I wasn't willing to give it my all. I always find ways to get things done, and that includes working with people who I might not agree with. I can tell you that as I ride my bike to my office, well, pre-COVID, would ride my bike to the office in Glens Falls, there are a lot of things between where I live and where I work that could be improved. I've watched all along. I remember when Main Street was expanded, being invested in those decisions and understanding how hard some of those decisions were to make. And I feel like it is my responsibility to walk the walk. And I have been trying to be a good parent and a good neighbor, a good member of the housing association that I live in. But not participating in things like this, I think, is a failure to put forward a voice that isn't always in these arenas. I'm terribly nervous, but I'm really hopeful that I can participate because, to Mr. Whitehead's point, I know there's a lot at stake. And with a family and a business and having moved from the West Coast here, this is where I'm doing it all, and I would love to do more.
All right. Thank you. Amanda McGee. Thank you. Tim Brewer, present? I don't see him. All right. So those are the 4 candidates. Tim Brewer did express to me some concern about continuing his interest in running for Ward 4. So I will call to confirm him on this, and it may be why he did not show. Well, that would leave us with 4. outstanding candidates for Ward 4. So Thursday night, it may be just the 4 of you candidates who respond to questions. And again, we start at 6 p.m. It will be a Zoom meeting. So please latch on to Zoom. And there are going to be, it's going to be moderated by Nick Camano. Each town board member is going to have a pre-made question. So Nick Camano will ask you Tony Medevir's question, and each of you will give an opportunity to respond to that question. And then there'll be a question from Harrison Freer. Each one of the 4 of you, I'm assuming it's 4 now, will give a chance to respond to Harrison's question, and then with George, and then with me. So there's 4 questions from the town board, and that will be it. Then we open it up to the public. So the public will have several questions, and we'll rotate who answers the questions. So we'll start in alphabetical order, but then that rotates. So if the first person were Tim Brewer, which it might not be, it might be Amanda. And then Amanda, you would move to the end of the line, and it would keep rotating for all the questions. I'm expecting that we'll have 4 questions from the town board and maybe 5 or 6 from the public. I'm expecting the meeting to last perhaps an hour, perhaps 90 minutes. Let's see what kind of questions fall in and so forth. So that's the format. It will be moderated by a moderator, and the moderator will ask you the questions and keep track and make sure that the respondents keep rotating. Thursday night, Zoom, 6 p.m. Okay? So we all look forward to hearing from each and one of you on Thursday night. I talk on behalf of the board as well as the public. Okay. Now let's, Tony, let's start with you. Town board discussions?
I honestly have nothing.
All right.
On the town front, it's been quiet. Personally, not so much.
So John, can you give us a little COVID from the county, both hospitals? I mean, I didn't write all that down, but you get that, and then
Yeah, Warren County, no new cases in what, over a week?
Yeah, and I think the last person was released from the hospital today or yesterday.
Yeah, so 0 people
So
who
0
have
people.
serious illnesses. That's a 0.
Yeah.
Ryan Moore, who's the administrator for the county, gives us the daily reports, and it's been very good for Warren County. And I think that we have to, continue working very hard. Our social distancing, our masks, our washing the hands, our, wiping down things that are publicly touched all the time. I certainly wouldn't want to give COVID, but more importantly, I wouldn't want to, if I had it, I wouldn't want to give it to anybody else and see the pain that they would have to go through, and it make me feel horrible. So I think it's everyone has to work hard to try and keep this COVID thing tamped down. Hopefully we'll get a vaccine, and hopefully we'll make it go to the background, and hopefully a couple of years from now, we'll talk and laugh about today, but we're not talking and laughing now. But, hopefully there's a future that will be free of COVID, or pretty much free.
And then on the financial side, budget or sales tax down 33% in April and 20% in the first half of.
Sales tax is down about 7% for the total year right now. Yeah, we did have sharp falls in particular months, but overall we were up early on in the year. So there's a 7.2% decline in sales tax revenue. And we are already starting to jostle things around, more so as we do the budget for next year. As you saw, I sent something to all the department heads saying, we're going to have to be conservative. We're going to have to be cautious. We're going to have to cut. We want a balanced budget. We want to minimize any tax increases, So we're going to continue working with that. And the serious work starts this summer on that.
I'm just thankful for Lowe's, Home Depot, the 2 Walmarts that, you can't even find a parking spot in places. It's insane. No hoses left anywhere. Not a single hose in this town to be had.
Big ticket items like autos, and people are going back in buying cars.
Yeah, I actually saw 3 people test driving cars just today, which actually made me happy because you haven't seen that in a long time.
Right.
So, and now that DMV is open back up to some extent, that will help too. But I was surprised when I saw the numbers today that we were only down that much. I know it's a lot, but I expected it to be a lot worse than it was. So, thank goodness for the big box, because unfortunately our small guys can't be open right now, which is a shame, but hopefully very soon.
Well, my final comment is that I do appreciate the folks who have shown interest in community service and serving on the town board with us. And I certainly understand that it's not without its pain, but I do appreciate the attitudes of the folks who were able to come in and speak to us tonight. And I'm very pleased that we have the talent that's willing to serve here in the town of Queensbury. So, good for me.
All right, thank you, Harrison. George?
I just have one item. We had resolution 3.6 tonight about halfway watershed recreation plan. I had the opportunity to walk through that property with you. I went back a couple of times. I just wanted to point out, I live on the Potter Road side of that property, and I do drive along Peggy Ann often as well. And there are folks who live along those roads, unfortunately, that think that that property is their personal garbage dump. I see people go over there dumping their grass. You walk in, you see all kinds of stuff dumped. And I just want to remind people that that's not the case. And here's an opportunity where we as a town, we're looking to create something like this trail, and we want it to remain pristine. I don't think we should have people dumping over there, even if it's not by the trail. I mean, that whole property is the watershed for the city. So.
Yeah, thank you for that comment. Yeah, and you went around with me when we assessed the gates too, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And so, so we're going to work with the city, and like you point out, we're going to create something, a wonderful thing, a wonderful amenity. I mean, you take Rush Pond Trail, and those parking lots are full. They're full, and that is good. People are getting the exercise, they're getting the recreation. Hopefully, when we get the comprehensive system developed, they'll be able to use those off-road experiences as alternative transportation. So, I think for a minimum cost, because that's the way we've kept it. We've been very conservative in developing those trails, and we got grant money, that we're developing amenity for the community this town board can be very proud of. And so, thank you for bringing that up, George. And it's true. Everyone has to work. Get this done right.
I think moving forward, the recreation piece is going to be so important to us. I think that so many people are getting out. I actually went online today. I'm a bicycle dealer. I'm a bicycle dealer, and I went to see if I could order any bikes. There's not a bike in the country to be had right now.
Yeah.
Not a single one.
Yeah, I was into Rick's, and he said bikes are the new toilet paper.
It's insane. Rick told me the other day he will not see a bike in his store until September.
Wow.
Yeah, well, come to think of it, I've never seen so many bikes on the road.
I've
That's a
been
good
riding
thing.
a lot. I cannot believe the amount of people on the trail. It's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And Rush Pond, of course. We're going to have problems with parking eventually there.
Yeah.
It's a good problem to have.
It's a great problem to have.
Well, and Christine, the Docksider, also says that our canoeing kayak facility is very popular. Too popular.
Yeah, I know. I've talked to her.
Yeah. So I don't know what we can do about that. It's good that it's popular, and now it's created a parking problem that people are parking in her place.
Right.
And she needs those parking spaces, especially now
Yeah.
that we're all going to phase 3 on Wednesday. All the indicators are strong. So, the economy's going to start opening up. Sales tax revenues hopefully will be up there. I don't expect them to be last year's, but maybe we'll soften the blow as far as a hit on sales tax with the opening of the economy. But again, we have to be very careful that we open it in a way that's responsible and we don't see any spikes in COVID, because everything can spin in reverse.
It's happening in other parts of the country. So
Yeah. Anything else, George?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, and I don't have anything else, although I want to thank the 4 candidates who have come forward. All very good candidates, all have very strong thoughts on the matter, and I respect that. So I'm looking forward to Thursday night, where we're going to get to know you a little bit better, and the public's going to go to know you a little bit better. And I understand that all 4 of you may run for the office in November as well, which is good. All right, so if there's nothing else, Town Council Mark Shackner, thank you. Rose Mellon, Deputy Town Clerk, thank you. Thank you, Town Board. Thank you, Peter Pape and Stuart Tech, help me out. I think I got it by now. Joe Barlow from Look TV, thank you. And in the audience, thank you for attending as well. Okay. If there's nothing else,
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
all right.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're now adjourned. Thank you. Time is 8:11.
The following program is underwritten by the generous support of Associates of Glens Falls and Loomis & Lipan Insurance. Since 1852, they have been assisting both businesses and individuals across the country secure the most comprehensive insurance products available. Associates of Glens Falls and Loomis & Lipan are one of New York's largest independently owned insurance agencies. Public affairs programming on Look TV is underwritten by the generous support of Pennell's Restaurant, classic Italian-American food since 1922, and Stored Tech, technology solutions for computers, networks, and phone. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
1922, Babe Ruth debuts with the Yankees. WGY signs on air. Exterminator wins the Saratoga Cup, and Pennell's Restaurant opens its doors for the very first time. For 5 generations, Pennell's has been preparing delicious Italian food, served in a comfortable, home-like setting where everyone is welcome. 90 years of authentic Italian recipes, 90 years of the freshest ingredients, and 90 years of the finest classic Italian dishes, all made daily by hand. Pennell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga dining tradition since 1922.
Most cybersecurity firms deal only with prevention, the systems that block hackers and viruses. Stored Tech knows the root cause is actually good people doing bad things. So we offer a security training program which includes certifying all participants to show they understand the basics.
Technology solutions for computers, networks, and phones. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.